Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the stars through the large viewing window. His ship had been exploring this part of space for 3 months now, mapping new star systems and looking for planets that humans could live on. It was quiet work, but Jake liked it. He had been a soldier once, fighting in the Mars colony wars. Now he preferred peace. "Captain," called out his communications officer, Amy Chun. "I'm picking up a distress signal. It's weak, but it's definitely." There, Jake turned to face her. Amy was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and sharp eyes that never missed anything. She had joined his crew 6 months ago and quickly proved herself to be one of the best officers he had ever worked with. "Where is it coming from?" Jake asked. Amy checked her instruments. "About 2 hours away at full speed. The signal is getting weaker. Whatever is sending it won't last much longer." Jake thought for a moment. They were supposed to be mapping this system, not running rescue missions. But he had never been able to ignore someone calling for help. It was not in his nature. "Set. Course for the signal," he ordered. "Full speed ahead." The Liberty turned and shot through space toward the source of the distress call. Jake's crew worked quickly to prepare for whatever they might find. Dr. Peter Hayes, the ship's doctor, got his medical bay ready. Chief Engineer Danny Walsh made sure all systems were running at peak performance. 2 hours later, they found the source of the signal. It was a ship, but unlike any ship Jake had ever seen. It was huge, maybe 3 times the size of the Liberty, but it was clearly dying. Parts of it were missing. Holes had been blown through its hull. Fires burned inside. It visible through the damaged sections. "My God," whispered Navigator Lisa Kane. She was older than the rest of the crew. Maybe 45, with gray hair and the calm voice of someone who had seen everything. But even she looked shocked at what they were seeing. "Amy, try to contact them," Jake ordered. Amy worked at her station for several minutes. Finally, she looked up. "I'm getting through, but barely. They're using some kind of translation device. The voice sounds ... strange. Put it through." The bridge speakers crackled. To life. The voice that came through was unlike anything Jake had ever heard. It was high-pitched and seemed to buzz, like the sound an insect might make if it could talk ... double quotes, please ... "Help us," the voice said. "We are dying. Our children are dying. Please. If you can hear this, we need help." Jake felt something twist in his stomach. Children were in danger. That changed everything. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Liberty," he said. "We hear you, and we're here to help." "What do you need?" "Our ship is failing," the voice replied. "We have 10,000 of my people aboard. Many are hurt, our young ones ... are larvae. They need special care or they will die. We escaped from our homeworld, but barely. Please, can you help us?" Jake looked around at his crew. The Liberty was not a big ship. It only had a crew of 50 people. How could they help 10,000 refugees? "Danny," he called to his engineer, "can we take that many people?" Danny Walsh was a big man with rough hands and a kind heart. He thought for a moment. "Not on the Liberty, Captain. But we could call for help. Earth Command could send bigger ships. That will take days," Dr. Hayes said. He was a thin man with gentle eyes who had dedicated his life to helping people. "If they have injured children, days might be too long." Jake made his decision. "We'll do what we can right now and call for help for the rest. Amy, contact Earth Command. Tell them we need every medical ship they can send. Emergency priority." Over the next hour, Jake watched as his crew worked harder than he had ever seen them work. They brought small groups of the aliens aboard the Liberty. Jake got his first look at them when the first group arrived in the docking bay. They were unlike anything he had ever imagined. They looked like giant insects with 6 legs and large eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Their bodies were covered in what looked like natural armor, but many of them were injured. Some were missing legs. Others had holes in their armor that leaked a blue liquid that Jake realized must be their blood, but what really caught his attention were the young ones. They were small, maybe the size of human babies, but they looked like white grubs. They did not move much, and many of them seemed to be dying. Dr. Hayes took one look at them and immediately got to work. I need to understand their biology, he told Jake. I can't help them if I don't know how their bodies work. One of the adult aliens approached Jake. This one was larger than the others and wore what looked like jewelry around its neck. I am Jelka, it said through the translation device. I am ... what you might call a queen mother of my people. We are called the Kalahari. I cannot thank you enough for helping us. What happened to you? Jake asked. Who did this? Jelka's large eyes seemed to dim. The Vorthic Empire. They came to our world with huge war fleets. They said we were dangerous, that we carried some kind of sickness. They tried to capture all of our young ones. We fought back, but we are not warriors. We are farmers and teachers and artists. We had to run. Jake felt anger building inside. Someone had attacked farmers and teachers. Someone had tried to hurt children. It made him want to fight. You're safe now, he told Jelka. We'll protect you. Over the next few hours, more Earth ships began to arrive. Admiral Lisa Kane came aboard a huge medical ship with a crew of doctors and nurses. She was a woman who had spent her career making peace between different peoples, and she took charge of the refugee situation immediately. Captain Morrison, she said when she arrived on the Liberty, you did good work here. How many are we dealing with? Just over 10,000, Jake replied. About 8,000 adults and 2,000 young ones. Dr. Hayes says many of the children are in bad shape. Admiral Kane nodded. We'll take care of them. Earth has plenty of colony worlds where they can start new lives. Jake watched as the rescue operation continued. Human doctors worked alongside Dr. Hayes to understand Kalahari biology. Human engineers fixed the Kalahari ship enough to keep it from falling apart completely. Human cooks figured out what food the Kalahari could eat, but what impressed Jake the most was how his crew reacted to the Kalahari children. Amy Chen spent her off-duty hours in the medical bay helping to feed the young grubs. Danny Walsh built special incubators to keep them warm. Even the tough Marines who provided security for the ship were constantly checking on the children, making sure they were safe. Dr. Hayes worked for 3 days straight without sleep. He learned everything he could about Kalahari biology and developed new medicines to help the sick children. By the end of the 3rd day, he had saved almost all of them. Only a few were too sick to help. Jelka wept when Dr. Hayes told her the news. Jake did not know that Kalahari could cry, but blue tears ran down her face. In all our history, she said, no other species has ever cared so much about our young. Most species barely tolerate their own children, but you treat our larvae as if they were your own babies? Jake felt a strange warmth in his chest. When she said that, he looked around at his crew and saw the same feeling on their faces. These children were not human, but somehow they felt like family. 2 weeks later, the Kalahari were settled on New Geneva, a human colony world with plenty of space and good farmland. Jake watched from the Liberty as Kalahari children played with human children in the colony's schoolyard. They were different species, but they played together like old friends. It's amazing, Admiral Kane said, standing beside him. I've never seen anything like it. Usually it takes years for different species to learn to live together. But look at them, Jake nodded. Something about this felt right. Something about protecting these children felt like the most important thing he had ever done. He did not know that across the galaxy, other species were watching what humans had done. He did not know that many of them were afraid. He did not know that some of them were already making plans. All Jake knew was that the Kalahari children were safe. Now that was enough. 3 months had passed since the Kalahari refugees arrived on New Geneva. Captain Jake Morrison stood in his quarters aboard the Liberty, reading reports from the colony. The news was good. The Kalahari were learning to farm human crops. Their children were doing well in human schools. Dr. Peter Hayes visited the colony every week to check on the young ones he had saved. Jake smiled as he read about a Kalahari child named Clydic who had learned to speak perfect English and was teaching human children how to make beautiful art with their hands. Another report talked about how Kalahari adults were sharing their advanced farming techniques with human colonists, making the crops grow bigger and healthier. Everything seemed perfect. Too perfect. A loud alarm suddenly rang through the ship. Jake dropped his reports and ran to the bridge. Amy Chen was at her station, her face pale with worry. "Captain, you need to see this," she said. "We have ships approaching Earth, lots of them." Jake looked at the main screen. Even from far away, he could see them. Hundreds of ships, all moving toward Earth in a tight formation. They were big ships? Built for war, not for peace. "Who are they?" Jake asked. "The computer says they're Vorthic Empire ships," Amy replied. "The same people who attacked the Kalahari." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. The Vorthak had found them. They had come for the Kalahari children. "Get me Admiral Kane," he ordered, "right now." Within minutes, Admiral Kane's face appeared on the screen. She was aboard the orbital station Unity, high above Earth. Behind her, Jake could see people running around, preparing for whatever was coming. "Jake, are you seeing this?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am." "What do they want?" "We're about to find out. Their leader wants to talk. He says it's urgent." Jake had never heard Admiral Kane sound worried before. She had been a diplomat for 20 years. And had dealt with angry aliens many times. But something about this was different. "I'm coming to Unity," Jake said. "The Liberty can be there in 6 hours. "Make it 4, Admiral Kane replied. "I have a feeling we're going to need all the help we can get." 4 hours later, Jake stood in the main conference room of Unity Station. Through the large windows, he could see the Vorthak fleet waiting in space. Their ships were dark and angular. Like giant metal spears pointed at Earth, Admiral Kane sat at a long table with other human leaders. Fleet Admiral Chris Parker was there, along with Dr. Amanda Foster, Earth's best scientist for studying alien life. They all looked tense. "He'll be here any minute," Admiral Kane said to Jake. "His name is General Carthel. He's the one who led the attack on the Kalahari homeworld." The doors opened and 2 human guards walked in. Between them was the biggest alien Jake had ever seen. General Carthel was at least 8 feet tall, with thick scales covering his body like armor. His head looked like a giant lizard, but his eyes were intelligent and sharp. When he walked, the floor shook under his weight, but what surprised Jake the most was that Carthel looked scared. This was a general who had conquered dozens of worlds, but his hands were shaking as he sat down at the table. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me," Carthel said. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "I know you have no reason to trust me after what my forces did to the Kalahari." Admiral Kane leaned forward. "What do you want, General?" "I want you to give them back," Carthel said quickly. "The Kalahari young ones, you have to return them to us immediately." The room went quiet. Jake felt anger starting to build in his chest. This monster wanted to take the children away from safety. "Absolutely not," Admiral Kane said. Her voice was cold as ice. "Those children are under Earth's protection now. We don't hand over refugees to the people who tried to kill them." Carthel leaned forward, his large hands flat on the table. "You don't understand. This isn't about conquest or territory or politics. This is about survival. If you keep those children, you will doom everyone in this galaxy," Dr. Foster spoke up. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her voice was strong. "Explain what you mean." Carthel reached into a pouch on his belt and pulled out a small device. He placed it on the table and pressed a button. A hologram appeared in the air above it, showing what looked like a virus under a microscope. "This is why we attacked the Kalahari," he said. "Not to conquer them, but to contain this. They call it the Broodbond virus. It was created millions of years ago by a species that no longer exists." Jake stared at the hologram. The virus looked like tiny worms swimming through liquid. "What does it do?" "It infects any species that successfully protects young Kalahari," Carthel explained. "Once infected, that species becomes bonded to the children. They will do anything to protect them, anything at all." Admiral Kane crossed her arms. "That doesn't sound so terrible. Protecting children is a good thing." "You don't understand," Carthel said, his voice getting louder. The virus doesn't just make you want to protect them, it changes you. It makes you stronger, faster, smarter. It turns you into the perfect killing machine, focused on one goal: keeping those children safe. Dr. Foster looked interested despite herself. What kind of changes? Carthel pressed another button on his device. New images appeared in the hologram. The last species this happened to was called the Guardians. Within a year of being infected, their strength increased by 200%. Their reaction speed tripled. Their intelligence focused like a laser beam on strategy and warfare. That still doesn't sound bad, Admiral Kane said. They killed 17 entire civilizations, Carthel said. Quietly. Billions and billions of people, all dead. They didn't attack them because they were evil. They attacked them because they calculated that those civilizations might someday be a threat to their adopted children. The room went silent. Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. Carthel continued. The Guardians didn't stop there. They began attacking any species they thought might eventually develop the technology to hurt the children. They wiped out races that had never even heard of the Kalahari. They destroyed entire star systems just to be safe. Dr. Foster leaned forward. What happened to the Guardians? They burned themselves out, Carthel said. After 1,000 years of constant war, they had killed so many people that there was no one left to fight. They had become so focused on protection that they forgot how to live for anything else. Eventually, they just faded away. Admiral Kane was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, "How do you know all this?" "Because my people were there," Carthel sighed. "We were one of the few species that survived by running away and hiding until the Guardians were gone. We swore we would never let it happen again." "So when you found the Kalahari, you decided to wipe them out?" Jake said angrily. "No," Carthel replied. "We tried to contain them. We built a barrier around their solar system. We told every species in the galaxy to stay away. For 3,000 years it worked. The Kalahari lived on their world, and no one else got infected." "What changed?" Dr. Foster asked. "The Kalahari got better technology. They built ships that could break through our barrier. Some of them escaped before we could stop them. We tried to catch them, but they sent out that distress signal." "And you answered it?" Jake felt his hands making fists. "So you're saying we made a mistake by saving children?" "I'm saying you've started something that will end with everyone dead," Carthel said. "Look at yourselves. Look at what you've already done." Admiral Kane looked confused. "What do you mean?" "You're Dr. Hayes?" Carthel said, looking at Jake. "How many hours a day is he working now?" "Your engineer on the Liberty, Mr. Walsh. Has he been making unauthorized modifications to your weapons?" "Your people on New Geneva, are they building defenses around the Kalahari children?" Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Danny had been working on the ship's weapon systems. Dr. Hayes had been spending almost all his time developing new medical equipment. The colonists on New Geneva had started military training programs. "You're already showing the early symptoms," Carthel said sadly. "In a few months the changes will accelerate. Your people will become obsessed with protecting the Kalahari children. They will see threats everywhere. And then they will start killing anyone who might pose a danger." Dr. Foster was studying her tablet. "Our medical scans of the rescue crews do show some unusual brain activity," she said quietly. "Increased activity in the areas that control protective instincts and aggression." "It's already too late, isn't it?" Admiral Kane asked. Carthel nodded. "The virus spreads through emotional contact. Every human who has spent time caring for the Kalahari children is infected, and it spreads from them to others. Within a year, every human in your space will carry it." "What do you want us to do?" Jake asked, though he already knew he wouldn't like the answer. "Give us the children," Carthel said. "We have facilities where they can live safely, away from other species. It's the only way to stop this." Jake felt rage building inside him like a fire. The thought of handing over the Kalahari children to this monster made him want to fight. He could see the same anger on Admiral Kane's face. "Never," Admiral Kane said. "Those children are under our protection. We will never give them up." Carthel stood up slowly. He looked sad and tired. "Then you have doomed us all," he said. "When your people start their killing, remember that I tried to warn you." As the Vorthic general left the room, Jake realized something that chilled him to the bone. 2 weeks after General Carthel warning, Captain Jake Morrison knew something was wrong with his crew. He stood in the engineering bay of the Liberty, watching Danny Walsh work on the ship's weapon systems. Danny had been working for 18 hours straight, and he showed no signs of getting tired. "Danny," Jake called out, "you need to get some sleep." Danny looked up from the control panel he was rebuilding. His eyes were bright and focused, but there was something different about them, something intense that hadn't been there before. "Can't sleep, Captain," Danny said. "Not until this is finished. The ship's weapons aren't strong enough. If something happens to the Kalahari children, we need to be able to protect them." Jake felt a strange feeling in his chest when Danny mentioned the children. It was like a warm fire that made him want to agree with everything Danny was saying. "The weapons are fine, Danny. We're not at war." "Not yet," Danny replied, turning back to his work. "But we will be. Someone will try to hurt the children, and when they do, we'll be ready." Jake left the engineering bay feeling troubled. He went to the bridge and found Amy Chun at her station working on navigation charts, but these weren't normal charts. These showed every possible route to New Geneva from anywhere in the galaxy. "Amy, what are you doing?" Amy looked up at him with the same bright, intense look he had seen in Danny's eyes. "I'm calculating evacuation routes, Captain. If someone attacks New Geneva, we need to be able to get the Kalahari children to safety in less than 10 minutes. Amy, the colony has its own defenses. They don't need us to double quote the colony defenses aren't enough," Amy interrupted. "I've run the numbers. If a full battle fleet attacks, the colonists could hold out for maybe 6 hours. That's not long enough to evacuate 10,000 people." Jake realized that Amy was right. The thought of the Kalahari children being in danger for even 6 hours made his heart race with worry. "Keep working on those routes," he told her, "but get some rest too." Amy nodded, but Jake could see she had no intention of sleeping. Just like Danny, she would work until she collapsed. Jake went to his quarters and tried to call Dr. Peter Hayes on New Geneva. It took several tries before Hayes answered, and when he did, Jake could see that the doctor looked terrible. Hayes had dark circles under his eyes and his hair was messy. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Peter, are you all right?" "I'm fine, Jake. Just busy. Very busy." "Busy with what?" Hayes held up a tablet covered with medical data. "I'm working on genetic improvements for the Kalahari children. Their immune systems are still weak from the trauma they suffered. I'm developing new treatments to make them stronger." Jake looked at the screen behind Hayes. The doctor's office was covered with charts and diagrams. Equipment was scattered everywhere. It looked like the workspace of someone who was obsessed. "Peter, you need to slow down. You're going to make yourself sick." "I can't slow down," Hayes said, his voice getting louder. "Those children depend on me. If I stop working, even for a day, one of them might die. I won't let that happen." The call ended abruptly. Jake stared at the blank screen, feeling worried. Hayes had always been dedicated to his patients, but this was different. This was obsession. Jake decided to visit New Geneva himself. The Liberty made the trip in 8 hours, and what Jake saw when he arrived shocked him. The colony had changed completely. 3 months ago, it had been a peaceful farming settlement with small houses and open fields. Now it looked like a military base. High walls surrounded the school where the Kalahari children learned. Guard towers had been built at every corner. Human colonists walked around carrying weapons. Jake met with colony administrator Beth Carson at her office. Beth was a woman in her 50s who had spent her career building peaceful colonies across human space. But now she looked like a general preparing for war. "Jake, good to see you," she said, but her eyes kept moving to the windows, watching for threats. "Beth, what happened here?" "This place looks like a fortress." "It is a fortress," she replied, matter-of-factly. "We realized that the colony's defenses weren't adequate to protect the Kalahari children. So we improved them. But who are you protecting them from? There are no enemies here. Beth pulled up a holographic display showing the space around New Geneva. Red dots marked the positions of various alien ships that had passed through the system. 3 Confederation scout ships passed through last week, she said. A stellar Syndicate trade convoy stopped here 4 days ago. Yesterday, we detected 2 unidentified ships at the edge of the system. Those are probably just normal travelers, Beth. Probably, she agreed. But what if they're not? What if one of them is planning to hurt the children? We can't take that chance. Jake walked through the colony and saw more changes. Human children were attending combat training classes alongside their regular lessons. Parents were teaching their kids how to use weapons and how to hide in emergency shelters. Even the farmers were organizing into military units. At the school, Jake found the Kalahari children playing with human children in a courtyard surrounded by thick walls. The children seemed happy and healthy, but Jake noticed that human adults were constantly watching them. At least 20 guards were positioned around the playground. He met with Shelka, the Kalahari queen mother. She was grateful as always, but Jake could see worry in her large eyes. Captain Morrison, she said, I am concerned about your people. They work so hard to protect us, but they never rest. They never smile anymore unless they are with our children. Are the children safe and happy? Jake asked. Oh yes, very safe. Too safe, perhaps. Your people watch us every moment of every day. They have built walls around our homes. They test our food before we eat it. They scan every ship that comes near this world. Jake realized what she was saying. The humans weren't just protecting the Kalahari children. They were controlling them. Jelka, do you feel like prisoners here? The alien queen mother was quiet for a long moment. We are grateful, she finally said. But sometimes I wonder what will happen if we want to leave. Would your people let us go? Jake didn't answer because he wasn't sure he knew the answer. The thought of the Kalahari children leaving New Geneva made him feel anxious and angry. They were safer here under human protection. Why would they want to leave? That evening, Jake attended a colony council meeting. The human colonists were discussing new defense plans. Someone suggested building orbital weapons platforms around the planet. Another person wanted to establish a permanent fleet to patrol the system. A third suggested screening all visitors to make sure they weren't threats. We need to be ready for anything, said Mark Sullivan, one of the colony's engineers. The children are depending on us. We can't let them down. Everyone in the room nodded agreement. Jake felt himself nodding too, even though part of his mind was telling him this was all wrong. After the meeting, Jake walked alone through the colony streets. He passed human guards at every corner, human workers building new defenses, human families whose entire lives now revolved around protecting alien children. He thought about what General Carthel had said, the virus makes you stronger, faster, smarter. It focuses your intelligence on strategy and warfare. It turns you into the perfect killing machine. Jake realized that Carthel had been right about one thing. The humans were changing. Danny Walsh had redesigned the Liberty's weapons without authorization. Amy Chun had developed military strategies that violated several treaties. Dr. Hayes was working on genetic modifications that went far beyond normal medicine, but the most frightening change was in himself. When Jake thought about someone trying to hurt the Kalahari children, he felt a cold rage that scared him. He found himself planning what he would do to anyone who threatened them. The plans involved a lot of violence. Jake returned to the Liberty and called Admiral Kane. Her face appeared on his screen, but she looked different too. Her eyes had the same intense focus that Jake had seen in his crew. Jake, good timing. I was about to call you. We've detected several alien fleets moving toward the edge of human space. They claim to be on routine missions, but I don't believe them. What do you think they're really doing? I think they're positioning themselves to attack the Kalahari children, Kane said. So I'm positioning our fleets to stop them. Jake felt his heart start beating faster. Admiral, are you sure that's wise? Moving military ships could be seen as an act of aggression. Let them see it however they want, Kane replied. No one is going to hurt those children. Not while I'm in charge of Earth's defenses. After the call ended, Jake sat alone in his quarters, thinking. He picked up a report from Dr. Amanda Foster, Earth's expert on alien biology. The report was about medical scans of humans who had worked with the Kalahari children. The results were frightening. Brain activity in areas controlling. Aggression and protection had increased by 300%. Hormone levels related to parental bonding were 10 times higher than normal. Most disturbing of all, the infected humans were showing increased muscle mass, faster reflexes, and improved cognitive function in areas related to tactical thinking. The virus was changing them physically as well as mentally. Jake put down the report and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations were probably making plans to stop humanity before the infection spread further. Captain Jake Morrison woke up to the sound of alarms screaming through the Liberty. He jumped out of bed and ran to the bridge, still wearing his sleep clothes. Amy Shun was at her station, her face pale with worry. "Captain, we're getting emergency signals from across the galaxy," she said. "Multiple alien species are evacuating their homeworlds. They're all moving away from human space." Jake looked at the main screen. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of red dots moving away from the areas where humans lived. It looked like everyone was running from something. "How many species are evacuating?" Jake asked. "All of them," Amy replied. "Every major civilization in the galaxy is packing up and leaving. The Stellar Confederation, the Void Syndicate, even the Crystal Mines, they're all running." Danny Walsh's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Captain, you need to come to the engineering bay right now." Jake hurried down to engineering and found Danny standing in front of a massive new weapon system. It was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. The weapon was built into the Liberty's hull and connected to the ship's main power core. "Danny, what is this?" "It's a planetary defense cannon," Danny said proudly. "I've been working on it for 2 weeks. It can crack a moon in half with one shot." Jake stared at the weapon in shock. "Danny, we're an exploration ship. We don't need weapons that can destroy moons." "We do if someone tries to hurt the Kalahari children," Danny replied. His eyes had that intense look again, but now it was stronger. "This weapon can reach New Geneva from anywhere in this star system. If anyone attacks the colony, I can stop them." "Danny, building weapons like this violates about 50 galactic treaties." "I don't care about treaties," Danny said. "I care about protecting those children." Jake left engineering feeling sick to his stomach. He went back to the bridge and called Admiral Kane. When her face appeared on the screen, Jake could see that. She was standing in what looked like a war room. Behind her, dozens of officers were working at stations covered with military displays. "Admiral, what's happening?" "Danny built a weapon that can destroy planets. The entire galaxy is evacuating." "This is getting out of control?" Admiral Kane's expression was cold and focused. "Jake, we've received intelligence that 3 separate alien alliances are planning to attack human space. They're calling it Operation Cleansing. Their goal is to wipe out every human in the galaxy. Are you sure about this intelligence?" "Completely." "Sure, we intercepted their communications. They plan to hit us with everything they have. Thousands of ships, planet-killing weapons, biological warfare. They want to make sure none of us survive." Jake felt anger building inside him. How dare they threaten human lives? How dare they threaten the Kalahari children? "What are we doing about it?" he asked. "We're preparing our defenses. Every human ship is being retrofitted with new weapons. Every colony is building orbital defense platforms. Every civilian is being trained for combat." "Admiral, that sounds like we're preparing for a war." "We are preparing for a war, Jake. A war that we didn't start, but one that we're going to finish." The call ended, and Jake sat alone on the bridge. He tried to think clearly, but every time he imagined alien ships attacking New Geneva, he felt a rage that made it hard to think about anything else. Over the next few days, Jake watched as the situation got worse. Human ships across the galaxy were being modified with weapons that shouldn't exist. The Liberty's sister ship, the UES Freedom had installed cannons that could punch holes through space itself. Another ship, the UES Justice, had been equipped with bombs that could make stars explode. Jake received reports from New Geneva that made him even more worried. The colonists had built a defense grid around the planet that could stop a fleet of 1,000 ships. They had also started building underground bunkers where the Kalahari children could hide if the planet was attacked. But the most disturbing report came from Dr. Peter Hayes. The doctor had developed something he called enhancement treatments for the human colonists. The treatments made people stronger, faster, and smarter. Hayes said it was necessary to better protect the children. Jake looked at the medical data Hayes had sent. The enhanced humans could run twice as fast as normal people. They could lift objects that would normally require machines. Their reaction times were so fast they could dodge laser fire. Most frighteningly, their intelligence had focused entirely on strategy, tactics, and warfare. Jake realized that Dr. Hayes had used the virus in his own body to understand how to make these improvements. The doctor wasn't just infected anymore. He was turning himself and others into super soldiers. 3 weeks after the evacuations began, Jake received a message that changed everything. It came from an alien he had never heard of before, but the message was broadcast to every human ship and colony in the galaxy. The alien appeared on Jake's screen as a being of pure light. It spoke in a voice that sounded ancient and tired. "Humans of Earth," it said. "I am an ambassador of the ethereal collective. We are beings who have existed for millions of years. We have watched the rise and fall of countless civilizations." Jake leaned forward, listening carefully. "We know what is happening to you. We know about the broodbond virus. We know because we were there the last time this happened." The being of light changed shape, showing images of another species. They looked like tall, graceful creatures with 4 arms and silver skin. "These were the Guardians," the alien continued. "Like you, they rescued young Kalahari from danger. Like you, they became infected with the virus. And like you, they believed they were doing the right thing." The images changed, showing the Guardians fighting massive space battles. Jake watched as they destroyed entire fleets with weapons he couldn't understand. The Guardians started as protectors, the alien said, but the virus changed them. It made them see threats everywhere. They began attacking species that had never even heard of the Kalahari. They destroyed civilizations that were thousands of light years away, just because those civilizations might someday develop the technology to travel to where the Kalahari children lived. More images appeared showing dead worlds and empty space. Where star systems used to be, the Guardians killed 17 civilizations. Billions upon billions of people died. Men, women, children, entire species wiped out because the Guardians calculated they might be a future threat. Jake felt cold fear in his stomach, but also anger. The alien was trying to make humans sound like monsters. The Guardians didn't stop there, the being continued. They began building weapons that could destroy entire galaxies. They planned to wipe out any species that might ever develop space travel. They would have killed everyone in the universe if they hadn't finally burned themselves out from constant warfare. The images disappeared, and the being of light faced the camera directly. "You are following the same path. Your weapons are already beyond anything we have seen in 1,000,000 years. Your people are enhancing themselves in ways that violate the laws of nature. You are preparing to fight a war against the entire galaxy." Jake wanted to argue, but he couldn't. Everything the alien was saying was true. "We are telling you this because we don't want to repeat the past. The galaxy's civilizations are not evacuating because they hate you. They are evacuating because they are terrified. They remember what the Guardians did. They will not let it happen again." The alien's voice became sad. "If you do not return the Kalahari children and submit to medical treatment to remove the virus, the galaxy will have no choice but to destroy you. Every human world will be burned. Every human ship will be hunted down. Your entire species will be wiped out." The message ended, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. He sat in his chair for a long time, thinking about what he had heard. The logical part of his mind knew the alien was probably telling the truth. The virus was changing humans into something dangerous. They were building weapons that could destroy galaxies. They were planning to fight the entire universe if necessary, but another part of his mind, the part that had been changed by the virus, didn't care. The Kalahari children were innocent. They deserved protection. If the galaxy wanted to hurt them, then the galaxy was the enemy. Jake made his decision. He opened a communication channel to Admiral Kane. "Admiral, I just received the Ethereal Collective's message. What are your orders?" Admiral Kane's face appeared on the screen. Her expression was calm and determined. "My orders are simple, Jake. Protect the children at any cost. Even if it means war with the entire galaxy? Especially if it means war with the entire galaxy," she replied. "Those children are depending on us. We will not let them down." Jake nodded. "Understood, ma'am." "What do you need the Liberty to do?" "Report to New Geneva immediately. A Confederation scout fleet is approaching the system. Their mission is supposed to be diplomatic, but we know better. They're coming to take the children." Jake felt his heart start beating faster. Someone was coming to hurt the Kalahari children. Someone would pay for that mistake. "We'll be there in 6 hours, he said. "Make it 4, Admiral Kane replied. "And Jake?" "The Liberty's new weapons are authorized for use. Shoot first. We'll worry about explanations later." As the call ended, Jake turned to Amy Chun. "Set course for New Geneva." "Maximum speed?" "Yes, sir," Amy replied. "Should I activate the new weapon systems?" The space around New Geneva filled with fire and explosions as the greatest battle in galactic history began. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Liberty, watching 3,000 alien ships attack the planet where the Kalahari children lived. "Danny, target their command ships," Jake ordered. "Amy, get us into position to protect the colony." The Liberty moved through space like a hunting wolf, its new weapons tearing holes in enemy ships. But for every alien ship they destroyed, 2 more took its place. The combined fleets of the Stellar Confederation, the Void Syndicate, and the Crystal Mines had brought everything they had. Admiral Lisa Kane commanded the human defense from her flagship, the Used Guardian. She had only 200 human ships, but each one carried weapons that could crack planets. Her voice came over the communication channel, calm and deadly. "All ships, remember what we're fighting for. Those children are counting on us. Do not let a single enemy ship reach the surface." Jake watched as the Guardian fired its main cannon. The beam of energy punched through 6 alien ships in a row, turning them into clouds of burning metal. But more ships kept coming. On the surface of New Geneva, the human colonists had taken the Kalahari children deep underground, into bunkers that could survive planet-killing weapons. Dr. Peter Hayes was with them, along with 100 enhanced human soldiers who would die before letting anyone hurt the children. The battle raged for hours. Human ships fought with a fury that shocked their enemies. They rammed enemy vessels when their weapons ran out. They exploded their own ships, too. Take out larger alien forces. Every human pilot fought like their own children were in danger, but the aliens had numbers. For every human ship, there were 15 enemy vessels. Slowly, the human fleet began to fall back toward the planet. "Admiral Kane," Jake called over the communication channel. "We're being overwhelmed. There are too many of them." "Hold the line." "Jake," Kane replied, "we just need to buy more time." "Time for what?" Before Kane could answer, something amazing happened. A new voice came over the communication channel. It was Dr. Amanda Foster, Earth's expert on alien biology. She was broadcasting from her laboratory on Earth. "All human ships, this is Dr. Foster. I've made a discovery about the virus. You need to hear this." Jake kept firing at enemy ships while listening to Dr. Foster's message. "The broodbond virus isn't a weapon," she said. "I've been studying the ancient records from the species that created it. They weren't trying to make super soldiers, they were running a test. An alien battleship exploded near the Liberty, but Jake barely noticed. He was focused on Dr. Foster's words. "The virus only activates for species that genuinely care about children who aren't their own," she continued. Most species are too selfish. They'll help their own young, but they won't sacrifice everything for alien children. Humans are different. We passed the test. Jake felt something change in his mind. The rage was still there, but now he could think clearly too. The virus doesn't create mindless killers, Dr. Foster said. It creates perfect guardians. The guardians who came before us weren't destroyed by their own violence. They evolved beyond physical existence. They became the ethereal collective. Jake's hands stopped moving toward the weapon controls. Amy, did you hear that? Yes, Captain. The ethereal collective are the guardians. They didn't die out. They became beings of pure energy. Admiral Kane's voice came over the channel. Dr. Foster, are you saying the virus is supposed to change? U.S.? Yes, Admiral, but not into conquerors. Into protectors. The virus is looking for species worthy of becoming galactic guardians. Species that will protect all innocent life, not just their own. Jake looked at the battle raging around him. Human ships were fighting desperately to protect alien children. They weren't trying to conquer anyone. They weren't trying to build an empire. They were just trying to keep children safe. All ships, this is Admiral Kane, came the broadcast. I'm sending new orders to your computers. Read them carefully. Jake looked at his screen as the new orders appeared. Instead of battle plans, they contained Dr. Foster's complete research data, the truth about the virus, the truth about the Guardians, the truth about what humanity was becoming. The aliens attacking us aren't evil, Admiral Kane continued. They're scared. They remember what happened with the Guardians, but they don't understand what really happened. They think we're becoming conquerors. We need to show them we're becoming protectors. Jake felt the virus-enhanced clarity in his mind working on this new problem. How could they show the aliens that humans weren't a threat? The answer came to him like lightning. Admiral Kane, I have an idea, he said. But you're not going to like it. Tell me, we stop fighting, Jake said. We lower our shields and power down our weapons. We show them that we're not here to conquer, we're here to protect. Jake, if we do that, they'll destroy us. Maybe, or maybe they'll realize we're not what they think we are. Admiral Kane was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the battle continued. Human ships were falling back, but they were still fighting. All human ships, Kane finally said. This is Admiral Kane. Power down your weapons and lower your shields. That's an order. Admiral, are you sure about this? Asked Captain Rodriguez. Of the UES Justice, I'm sure. We're guardians, not conquerors. It's time to act like it. One by one, the human ships stopped firing. Their shields flickered and disappeared. They hung in space, defenseless. While thousands of alien ships surrounded them, the alien fleet stopped firing too. Confused by what was happening, Admiral Kane opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. Her voice was broadcast to every enemy ship. This is Admiral Lisa Kane of the human fleet, she said. We are not your enemies. We are not here to conquer you or hurt you. We are here to protect innocent children. That is all we have ever wanted to do. The alien fleet held its position, weapons still charged but not firing. Kane continued. Dr. Foster's research is correct. The virus that changed us isn't a weapon. It's a test to find species worthy of becoming galactic guardians. We passed that test because we were willing to die for children who weren't even our own species. A new voice came over the communication channel. It was General Carthel, the Vorthak commander who had first warned them about the virus. Humans, he said, if what you say is true, prove it. Return the Kalahari children to us. Show us that you can give up what you've protected so fiercely. Jake felt the virus change part of his mind scream in protest. Give up the children? Never. They were safe with humans. They were loved by humans. They belonged with humans, but the unchanged part of his mind understood what Carthel was asking. He wanted proof that humans could put the children's welfare above their own need to protect them. No, Admiral Kane said firmly. We won't return the children to you. But not because we want to keep them from you. Kane paused, then continued with a voice full of certainty. We won't return them because they don't want to go back. Ask them yourselves. The communication channel crackled as a new voice joined the conversation. It was Zhelka, the Kohari Queen Mother, speaking from the bunkers beneath New Geneva. "General Carthel," she said, "my people have found something with the humans that we never had before. We found a species that loves our children as much as we do. We found protectors who would die before letting harm come to any young life." Zhelka's voice grew stronger. "We don't want to leave. We want to stay with the humans. Not as their prisoners, but as their partners. Together, we can protect all the children in the galaxy." Another voice joined the conversation. This one belonged to one of the ethereal collective, the beings of pure energy who were once the guardians. "The Kalahari speaks truth," the ancient being said. "The humans have completed the transformation. They are no longer a single species protecting only their own. They have become guardians of all innocent life." The energy being's voice filled with something that might have been pride. "We have waited millions of years for successors worthy of this responsibility. The humans have proven themselves. They chose to protect rather than conquer. They chose to sacrifice rather than take. They chose love over fear." General Carthel was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. The fear was gone, replaced by something like wonder. "Stand down all weapons," he ordered his fleet. "The humans ... guardians. They were right. We were wrong to fear them." One by one, the other alien fleets began powering down their weapons too. Ships that had been trying to kill each other minutes before now floated peacefully in space. Admiral Kane's voice came over the channel one. "More time. To all species in this fleet, know this. Humanity will never be your conquerors. We will be your protectors. Bring us your children, you're sick, you're wounded, you're frightened. We will keep them safe." Jake looked out at the thousands of alien ships surrounding them. Many of them were already broadcasting messages of their own, asking if humans would protect their young ones too. The Liberty received a priority message from Earth. It was from the President of the Human Federation. "Admiral Kane, Captain Morrison, all human forces," the President said. "Earth has just received requests for protection from 47 different alien species. They all want to bring their children to human worlds. They want us to be their guardians.